Today's presentation will be on dryland salinity in Australia, focusing mainly on the southwest region of Western Australia and the issues surrounding this topic. Dryland salinity is considered to be one of the most pressing environmental issues within Australia, although barely spoken about in the mainstream media. Dryland salinity is a term used to describe a landscape that has mass accumulation of salt within the water and soil bodies to an extent that affects the production of the land. Primary salinity refers to the natural salt levels found within a landscape. This is a combined result of salt lakes and marshes, winds depositing sea spray from the coast inland, as well as Australia naturally being a salty continent. Native vegetation adapted to the high levels of salt within the soil. Secondary salinity, however, is salinity as the result of human activity. Although Australia is heavily affected by drought, too much water can also result in detrimental effects for farmers. Clearing native and long-rooted plants for agricultural purposes has caused a rise in groundwater, which has ultimately disrupted the water table. By planting and harvesting short-rooted plants annually, water levels continuously rise underground, causing salt properties to dissolve and appear near the surface. As you can see from this diagram sourced from Agriculture Victoria, water levels both underground and precipitation is no longer being soaked up by plants, and with nowhere for the water to go, salt continuously gets pushed closer to the surface. Mass salt properties within soil also affect the plant's growth rate and yield, ultimately resulting in a landscape with little or nil production value. This is a photo of a landscape affected by dryland salinity. Notice the patches of crop that have not grown. This shows the direct effect of salinity in an agricultural setting. Dryland salinity has also resulted in the loss of native wildlife, as the vegetation and water that was once relied on as a food source is no longer there due to inactive soil. This short clip shows the severity of dryland salinity within a landscape in southwest WA. Unfortunately, erosion is a consequence of dryland salinity. Without plant roots to hold the soil in place, natural elements such as wind and rain can easily change the shape of the Australian environment. Erosion also leads to a lack of production in a landscape, as most agricultural practices rely on a flat surface environment. This is explained better as a visual in this diagram. Simplified, soil becomes easier to penetrate with water and wind when less compact. It is estimated that 1.8 million hectares of Western Australian agricultural land is affected by salinity, with risk of this doubling within the next 25 years if no action is taken. The affected hectares result in a potential loss of $519 million each year, which is a huge economic backset for Australia and their farmers. There are strategies that can be taken to assist in bringing the salt levels to a manageable level, one of which includes planting saline-tolerant perennial plants in catchment areas with the expectation that the long-rooted plants will contribute in soaking up the excess water underground. Certain Australian native foliage is able to handle the extra salt properties found within the soil to an extent and help build a foundation for a stronger and more compact soil to avoid erosion. Dryland salinity is not spoken about enough in mainstream media. The best thing that we can do as young people of Australia is to raise awareness of this environmental issue that will destroy agricultural practices and the livelihood of our Australian farmers if no action is taken place. I have set up a Facebook page in which I hope to post photos, facts and events that are based around dryland salinity in WA. It is a public page that can be accessed by anyone, so if you could all please like and share this page to boost awareness for the matter. Dryland salinity may primarily affect farmers, the economy and the environment, but this also affects food production, which ultimately and directly affects you. The next generation has to answer for the mistakes that we make in the future. Take action today to ensure a healthy and full tomorrow.